Hey, deserving listeners, it's time for me to react to your comments on my videos from the last week. Let's get to it. Love is Blind, Season 8, number 40 reaction video. Taylor confronts Daniel. This was just after the pods, right? Hey, Mary says, it's interesting. I really felt differently about this couple and this interaction than the way you saw it. I was on the other side of the fence on every point, LOL. A, let's see, Mary has A, B, and C. So A, I really felt that Taylor and Daniel's connection I really felt their connection in the pods. Maybe they weren't as passionate, but Taylor talked a lot about how Daniel made her feel very secure and grounded. Just chiming in, yeah, for sure. And, I can't tell, and I think I've been saying that with Chelsea and Kwame, I was quite sure that they were not going to say yes, yes at the altar, and they did. And they're still married, happily married today, presumably. So just because it's not being shown doesn't mean anything. And there are people that show it a lot and say no at the altar. So it's hard to tell. But that's just at that point, just after the pods, that's just the way it felt. And they just weren't in the edit very much because of the Dave, Lauren, Molly, Mason, Madison stuff. Anyway, as a woman, that's the kind of feeling I was always looking for when dating, feeling very secure and grounded. That's what everyone's looking for. So I felt the most positive about these two of all the couples. Okay. B, I think it is very understandable that she would feel a little shaken by the idea that Daniel knew what she looked like the whole time. That's the whole reason she came on the show. Just chiming in, I think it's very understandable that she would feel a little shaken. Did I say otherwise? Did I say that she shouldn't feel shaken? Oh, I guess I did in part. I mean, I said that as a man, I don't have the experience of the worries of being stalked. Although I will say, as a content provider, I'll get into the details, but I do. And as a person, as a man, I also in my personal life know what it's like, unfortunately. So, but the feeling that many women have about the very frequent threat that is happening for some basically all the time, I definitely do not know what that feels like. And I think I said that. So there's that. But yeah, I mean, if she's being lied to, then that's wrong. But I think I was just pulling for any couple on the show. And I think I was saying something like, well, if I were Taylor, I mean, most of it, I was just like confused as I was watching that whole thing play out because it was just so new. It was such a different storyline, right? And so at first I'm thinking, what? And then I'm hearing her talk about what she remembered. And I know enough about memory to think, well, you shouldn't be so sure of that. And I then started wondering, well, but Taylor, if you found the love of your life, then yeah, I mean, you could certainly say, hey, did you, because I didn't like that, but I love you so much. Does it turn, if Daniel had, would we say that meant that he was dangerous? It could, but it wouldn't necessarily. I think I laid out a possibility of Daniel having followed her and at some point with Taylor in the pods thinking, oh, maybe this is that one woman that I saw on Instagram. I mean, it would be really hard to be sure of that. I mean, the fact that she likes Taco Bell and Christmas, I'm just going to guess and say you throw a dart randomly in any random direction in Minnesota and you're going to hit a lot of people that have the exact same or some variation of that. But anyway, so what I was reacting to was, anyway, I don't have to go back. But B, so apparently I was emphasizing something that led to Mary believing that I did not feel this way, or I wasn't emphasizing it enough. I think it's very understandable that Taylor would feel a little shaken by the idea that Daniel knew what she looked like the whole time. That's the whole reason she came on the show. It would also be manipulative, a lie by omission, if he suspected and never said anything. Yeah. But I think I laid out a possibility that if he had that suspicion but wasn't sure, he wouldn't necessarily want to risk it because they're constantly being watched. And if he were to disclose to her in the pods, hey, I think I might have come across your Instagram, he would viably wonder if he would be removed from the show, which would be a bummer, but also a complete waste of time, and also would take him away from Taylor. So, I don't know. There's so many possibilities. Now, should she have been concerned? Yeah, and, she voiced it, and she very quickly, after realizing that she was wrong, was mortified. She wasn't like, well, yeah, I was, she's like, oh my God, you must think I'm crazy. and it's really a freaky, and I think my guess is that it's a very scary situation that many in the pods, in the hallway, either don't talk about or they don't even register, or maybe they don't feel. But just that feeling of you're in the pods, you're in this cocoon, it's almost like a fantasy, a dream. It's so different, and you're so isolated. There's no foundation. There's nothing to grab onto in terms of your regular life. Your people, your hometown. I believe they're like outside of L.A. or San Diego or something, and then you fall in love, and you're just like, oh my God, and it's so all encompassing, and you meet the person in the hallway, and you see the person in 3D, and you're touching them, and you're kissing them, and I'm getting chills. It's kind of like a horror movie. You're just like, who the fuck is this person? So for someone to have some anxiety and grab onto something to explain that anxiety, I think is totally normal. I would be freaking out completely at every phase going on. Let's see. Plus, safety is a major consideration for women online. Yeah. She is agreeing to live with this man after a week of talking to him. Yeah. So I think it's smart that she's trusting her gut and asking. And asking. The trusting your gut thing, though, is a trend that I'm, yes, listen, don't trust. Listen, don't trust. Listen to everything, don't trust. Meaning don't believe offhand. Don't, your gut is something to listen to. But so if you ever hear me talk about differentiation, this is related. So this has been talked about for decades and longer in some circles. That when the theory goes, according to Murray Bowen, that we all have varying levels of differentiation. There's a lot I can talk about here, and listen to my deep dives on Bowenian therapy and differentiation. But very briefly, one aspect of differentiation is the ability to differentiate between what he called reasoning and thinking. And so, reasoning, thinking, and feeling. So the gut is a part of our feeling guidance system, our emotions, our vibe, our feelings, the way we feel about something, the way something feels, like it's a gut feeling or an intuition or a dislike or a like or a trauma reaction or an anxiety or an attraction or joy or gratification, whatever. There's all these feelings that we have, and it's in our body, it's in our emotions, it's hard to describe. And then we have our prefrontal cortex, which is our thinking, our reasoning. This is the ability to think into the future, to think into the past, to look at our feelings and think, are those feelings accurate, or are they helpful, or are they not? What part of it do I want to listen to? And then once you can differentiate those things, then you have the ability to look at both guidance systems and make an informed choice about moving forward and to retain that goal-directed behavior. Listen to my deep dives. It's a very helpful way of looking at maturity and functionality, and there are measures that you can take. There are surveys you can take to kind of roughly estimate your differentiation level. And it relates to transgenerational issues and family systems and relationships and enmeshment and attachment. And anyway, listen to my deep dives on that. But the point is that we want to be able to listen to both guidance systems. And in order to do that, we have to differentiate them. Because if we fuse them and we don't have the ability to differentiate between thinking and feeling, then feelings will feel like thoughts. Feelings will feel like facts, but they're not facts. They're feelings. They're important as all get out. Feelings are very important, but so is thinking and reasoning. So gut is one guidance system. It's one voice. And then we also think and we listen to that. And then we make a choice. So yeah, listen to your gut, but don't trust your gut. Also listen to your thinking. Don't trust your thinking. Sometimes we can overthink, or we can have too much logic, or we can discount our feelings, right? And go with what we think we should be doing instead of listening to how things feel, listen to our needs, that kind of thing. Anyway, C, Mary says, the production added some intense music, but this whole interaction felt quite mature and calm to me. Yeah. It wasn't, she wasn't like berating him. I think that, it's overwhelming for sure. And Taylor hasn't, in terms of what I've seen, you've seen ahead, so you know. But for me, Taylor hasn't done anything that is untoward, or if, in fact, anything. This is the first moment that I got a chance to see a little bit about her personality and her vulnerability, and I thought that she handled it well. If in a perfect world, she would have approached it with just a tad more tentativeness. She could have done all the same things and just said, like, look, Daniel, this might just be me making stuff up, but I have this worry and I don't know what to do with it. I don't even know if it makes sense or even if it's true. Like I'm just like kind of freaking out here. And because, for Taylor, her gut and her thinking are both telling her, to pay attention to this for good reason. But also I would imagine her gut would be telling her, you're in love with this person, deeply in love with this person, you're engaged with this person. So listen to that, that it informs how you approach this. And also thinking, you would imagine another thought would be, this is kind of a long shot. I mean, memory is hard to depend on, and I don't have I shouldn't have a lot of confidence in my, so, but overall, I don't want to double down on getting yelled at by y'all, but, but I think that, so maybe for Mary, and I think a few others, some of it just should have been more emphasized. And, people were being cool about it. And that's what's great about this sort of stuff, is that we can all have different reactions and not be dicks to each other in the process. And no one was being a dick to me at all. And that's just great. We all have our different personalities and our different experiences and our different cultural pockets. So Taylor is stating her concerns and asking Daniel for a side. He is validating her, sharing her own worries, and giving the best answers he can. It seems so reasonable. Yeah. Well, the thing that I was reacting to at the time was that, because I was taken on a real journey. In the beginning, I'm thinking that Daniel's, if it is unlikely that it's true, I thought Daniel would sit down and be like, huh? What's happening right now? No, I didn't know who you were. Why would you think that about me? You would think that I would lie to you that way? I love you. I would never, I'm not that kind of person. But he, to me, it's just me, but that to me would have indicated some investment. And I think it does, he is invested seemingly, but I think that he is perfect for Taylor in a lot of ways, that he's not overly reactive. He's calm. And so he was calm in this situation. I think he was also just kind of confused, like, what's happening right now? Because, from his perspective, I don't know if production told him anything. It looked like they barely told him anything when he sat down. The other thing that what was I going to say? Oh, and then when he started to actually, get into it, he's like, because originally he was saying, no, I never followed you. That never happened. And then as they're kind of talking, he's like, well, maybe I did, maybe I did follow you. I don't know. And it looked like, oh no. Oh no, Daniel. But if I were to watch it knowing where it ends up, if I were to rewatch it, which I won't, but in a reaction video anyway, then I suspect that there would be a lot more alignment of vibe in terms of the way that we reacted. I was micro watching, and so looking back on that whole scene, I see it differently than when I was watching it in real time. Does that make sense? Anyway, all right. So there are a lot more comments to get into, but the rest of this video will just be for YouTube members. Usually these comment videos are 45 minutes to 90 minutes, depending on how much yammering I get into. So if you want to see this whole video, become a YouTube member. Otherwise, please take care of yourself because you deserve it. You really, really do.